Hi, let me tell you another story. And this one is about a desire that I've had in my heart for years. And I really wanted this really bad, and something that I didn't think I would ever get. And that is a live show of my own at Knott's Berry Farm in California. Well, the reason I had this desire, I'd been to Knott's Berry Farm and I'd seen some good shows there, and I often wished that I could have a show of my own. Well, one year I was visiting Knott's Berry Farm and I had my family with me. And we were attending the different shows. And they had one, if you've been there, there's one little place where there's covered wagons in a circle, and there's a stage right there, and a certain time every day why they'd have a show on that stage. We went to a show there where they were advertising the world's greatest yodeler. And well, of course, that piqued my interest because that's what I was doing as I was yodeling in different parts of the world and doing shows of mostly gospel shows and in churches and so on, because I had written a lot of gospel yodeling songs. But I had often wished that I could do a show like that out there at Knott's Berry Farm. But I just went to it to see the show, and because there was a yodeler. And he was also saying to the world that he was the world's greatest yodeler, which put a little bit of jealousy in my heart. Not saying that I am the world's greatest, but it sure piqued my interest anyway. And my family and I attended the show. And this man comes out and does a great job of yodeling. He does a great show. And they've got a live band there that's backing him, and the crowd's loving it and all that. And then in the middle of his show, he said, I'm going to do something here that is going to be a lot of fun, he said. So I want to ask for volunteers. Come up out of the crowd. I want some volunteers to come up here and try to yodel. And the one who does the best job, I'm going to give him an album. And he had albums where it's his songs. And so, man, I thought, hey, he's looking for somebody to try to yodel. Well, that's what I was doing for a living. I was yodeling and doing shows in a lot of places. So I volunteered, and he lined up 4 people on the stage. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was number 4. And he said, now I'm going to do a song. And he said, I will come to the yodeling part, and I will point to number 1, and number 1, you try to yodel. And then I will start again with number 2, and it'll come to the yodeling part. Number 2, you'll yodel. And so on. He says, the one who tries the hardest is the one who's going to get the prize, and the prize is one of his albums. Well, so we're lined up on the stage, and I'm number 4. And I was kind of getting a little anxious because I knew I could yodel. And so he starts to sing his song, She Taught Me to Yodel, is the name of the song. And he comes to the yodeling part, and he points to number 1 when it's his turn. And the person kind of goes, yodel-a-dee, yodel-o-do. You know, he makes some weird sounds. And the crowd laughs, and he laughs, and everybody's having a good laugh because the guy can't yodel. And so that was really funny to everybody to see somebody try to yodel that couldn't yodel. And then he did it again with number 2, and the same kind of a response. Number 3, same kind of response, and I was just waiting for my turn because I knew I could yodel. And number 4, when he came to the part where he says, okay, go, and he pointed to me, and I cut loose with the well, actually, I got into the song, and I yodeled for through the whole chorus part. Matter of fact, the crowd jumped up out of their seats because they were surprised, and they were applauding, and he tried to stop me from going any farther, and the crowd just kept begging me on, and I kept yodeling, and I finished the song. And so then he wanted to interview me, and as he was interviewing me and asking me where did I come from and all that kind of stuff, well, the crowd was kind of snickering and chuckling, and he realized that the crowd thought I was planted there, that this whole thing had been planned, which was not true. And so he told the crowd, he said, no, he said, that I don't know this guy. He says, I don't know who he is or anything about him. But he says, I'll tell you what, right now, we're going to have a contest between him and we're going to find out who's the best yodeler. And so he goes back to the beginning of the song, and he starts to sing and yodel, and the crowd, he loves good, the crowd loves him. And he says, all right, you do her, and I did it. Well, again, I got a standing ovation. And I was, like I said, able to finish the song there. So I won then he asked the crowd, he said, all right, let's find out who was the best, and you give by applause, and he's number one, number two, which one of them? And I got the most applause. So anyway, I won that contest, which wasn't that big of a deal, but it was when I stepped off of the stage that was kind of where I think this is where God gave me the heart's desire, because the manager to Knott's Berry's farm was standing at the edge of the stage, and he caught me as I come down the stairs off the stage, and he said, I'd like to talk to you. And I said, yes, sure. What is it? And he said, would you like to have this guy's part? Would you like to have this show? And I said, yeah, I would. He said, well, he said, if you want this job, you want to do this show, it's yours. Just like that. Now, I think the guy was getting ready to quit or something. I hope. I didn't want to take his job away, except the fact is, I wanted that job if I could get it. And Knott's Berry Farm hired me right there on the spot. And so for the next few years, I came to Knott's Berry Farm for a certain period of time every summer. And I would go and do maybe probably five or 6 weeks in that area, and I would do shows at Knott's Berry Farm, which was actually a dream of mine, a desire of mine. And like I said, I've always felt that God gives me my heart's desires, and that was one of them. And I got that show, and like I said, for years I did it. So I just wanted to share that one with you, and just let you know that God does hear you, and he does know what your desires are, and he gave me that desire. And I was able to fulfill that wish, and for the next several years, I got to sell my records, and that was even back when it was records. It was before cassettes. But I did very well on the show, and I don't know how many years I did it, but those years have gone by now, and I'm 86 years old now, and I'm just kind of remembering all the good times that I've had during the last few years, and that's one of them. And I'm putting these memories on YouTube just so my kids and my great grandkids, and anybody else who's interested can see what their grandpa did. So God bless you. Thank you. Listen, I've got some more stories. I got one about a ferry boat. And if you don't believe God talks to us today, you got to tune in on that one. When you hear the one come up about the ferry boat, you're going to want to hear that story. And there's a lot more. So come on back and let's see you another time. And by the way, there's a subscribe button. Go down there and click on that and subscribe. And God bless. Thank you. See you later.